everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss when I post new content. Now today, I'm going to be going over how I set up my wall-mounted tablet dashboard. I've gotten a lot of requests to do kind of an overview video on how I built this, what software I'm using, how to set up the dashboard that I linked in one of my previous videos. So today, I'm just going to be covering all of that for you guys. And yeah, let's just go and get right into it. Alright, so at its core, this is just an Amazon HD Fire 10 tablet mounted inside of this wall mount that I bought off of Amazon. So as you can see, it just has this little cover that snaps on over the top of the tablet. I took this off so I could show you guys how I set this up. I got my charging cable right here. So as you can see, this is the tablet right here. Amazon HD Fire 10 tablet, nothing really interesting about it. Now the wall mount also came with this completely flat profile USB-C cord, which was incredibly useful because it meant that I could mount the tablet completely flush with the wall and there would be no exposed cables or wiring or anything like that. And if there's one thing that I hate, it's exposed cables. And then as you can see, I run the charging cable back into the wall through this little hole right here, and then it pops out of a hole near the top of this wall, and then it snakes into the closet where it plugs into an outlet inside of there. So as you guys can see here, it shows a screensaver and a clock right up here when it's not being used. And then if I want to control stuff, all I have to do is go ahead and tap anywhere on the screen and I am brought into my dashboard. Now, as I mentioned in previous videos, I use Home Assistant for managing my smart bedroom, and obviously this right here is a Home Assistant dashboard. And I have put the YAML code for this dashboard on GitHub for anybody that's interested in using it. I'll go over how to get that installed onto your instance here in a second. But first off, what the heck is even going on here? Well, here along the side, I have my sidebar. This shows the time, obviously. And then I also have a bit of a status section right here. So it tells me how many lights are on, current temperature, how much power I'm using, which this is far from accurate. I need to fix that. And then down here, I have some quick actions. So if my Apple Watch dies, I can just go and pop it on the charger and then tap this button to start charging. And it starts charging it for 25 minutes, which in my experience is just the perfect amount of time to get it charged from about 0 to 40%, which is generally all I need. And then right here, I also have a button that allows me to quickly disable and re-enable my motion sensor. And I can just turn that off again by tapping that. And I got the weather down here. And then running along the top, I have light controls, climate controls, music controls, some smart outlets, and then my security panel right here. And then along the bottom, I just have some additional buttons. So we've got scenes, music choices, system status, settings, and then the ability to turn the display off. And as I mentioned previously, this is just an Amazon Fire HD 10 tablet. So if I just go ahead and X out of this app right here, you can see we have the normal Amazon Fire tablet interface. Now for displaying my dashboard, I'm using an app called Wall Panel, which if we come back in here, I can show you guys how I set this up. So Wall Panel is an Android app for displaying web-based dashboards. So it's perfect for Home Assistant. As you can see, I have my instance URL located right up here. And if I change this, I can just get it to display any web page, but obviously I'm just using my Home Assistant dashboard because I don't really use this tablet for anything other than that. And as you can see, you have a bunch of options right here to screw around with. So like you can have the ability to pull down on the screen to refresh the page, open the app on device boot, we can show the loading progress, we can enable acceleration, use dark themes, full screen, all that fun stuff. You also have the option to use MQTT. So this is what I use to dim the screen when the screensaver is on. So I got my Home Assistant instance right there, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, so now let's discuss how to get this dashboard working inside of your Home Assistant instance. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is head on over to the GitHub link that I've dropped in the description below. And this repository just has all of the code and pretty much everything that you're going to need in order to get started with this dashboard. So first up, what you're going to want to do is head over to the theme.yaml file and then come up here and choose copy raw file. And then once you have that copied to your clipboard, head on over to Home Assistant, go to the file editor, and then once you're in file editor, go ahead and head over to the file system, scroll down and find the themes folder. If you don't already have this folder, you can just create it manually. Just make a folder called themes, all lowercase. And then once you've made that folder, go ahead and head inside and make a new file inside of that folder. And then you can name it whatever you want. This is going to be your theme name for the new theme that we're going to be creating right now. So I'll just go ahead and name it test theme. and then you got to make sure it ends with .yaml, otherwise Home Assistant gets confused and it doesn't know what kind of file you're creating. So choose OK. And then once that's created, go ahead and open it. And as you can see, it's a blank file. Obviously, since we just created it, there's nothing in it. And here is where we're going to paste the code for that theme YAML that we just copied from GitHub. So go ahead and do Command V or Control V, depending on what computer you're on. Now, there's one more thing that you might want to change before you save this file. Up here where it says Wall Tablet Theme, this is the name of the theme that actually shows up in the Home Assistant UI. So if you want to name it something different, you can go ahead and do that. Also, if you already have a theme called Wall Tablet Theme, you're going to need to name it something different, otherwise Home Assistant is going to get confused. So I'm just going to go ahead and name Wall Tablet Theme for video. Oh, that's not how you spell for. And then you can just go ahead and save that file. And then once you save the file, head on over to Developer Tools, go to Services, and then search for the Home Assistant Front-End Reload Themed service. And then once you've selected that, just choose Call Service. And once that finishes, head on into your profile, scroll down, and you're going to want to choose the theme that we just created. So as you can see, we have our new theme, Wall Tablet Theme for video, so you can go and select that. And now the theme has been imported into our Home Assistant instance. So now let's go and grab the actual dashboard code. All right, back in GitHub, go ahead and find the Wall Tablet Grid redacted YAML file. Click that. Same thing that we did with the theme code, just go and choose Copy Raw File, and then head back to Home Assistant and go to Settings, Dashboards, and create a new dashboard, and choose New Dashboard from scratch. You can name it whatever you want. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. I'll just name it a Test Dash for Video. And you can give it an icon. I'm just going to leave it as the default, and choose Create. And then once you've created it, go ahead and open it up. And then up at the top right corner, choose the pencil icon. Click on the 3 dots and then choose the raw configuration editor. And then delete these 2 lines up here, you don't need them. And then paste in the code that we got from GitHub. Just make sure it all got pasted in. And then choose Save. And you can choose OK, the comments don't matter. Okay, so at this point, your dashboard is probably freaking out with all kinds of entity not found and custom element doesn't exist errors. And this is normal because obviously my entities are not the same as your entities. So step 1, just don't panic at all of these errors. But what you're going to want to do is choose Edit under each of the sections. And then as you can see, we have a null value for the entity. So you can just go and delete that and then put in the entity ID of the entity that you want this button to control. So if I wanted to control my ceiling fan light, I'm just going to go and do light.ceiling. And then as you can see, now it appears correct. And I can click to turn it on and off, which is nice. So you can just go and do that for all of the buttons that have the entity not found errors. You might also see some template errors on this sidebar. That's because, again, they have my entities in it, and my entities are not the same as your entities. So if you want to keep the template cards in here, you're more than welcome to. Just make sure you replace all of the entities with your entities. Otherwise, you can delete them and put whatever else you want here in the sidebar. And then down here at the bottom, I have some buttons. Now, obviously, none of these buttons have actions assigned to them, so that's why you're seeing these crazy errors. So again, just to fix that, head on into the editor and then add an action under tap action, and you should be all good to go. And then finally, if you're seeing any custom element doesn't exist errors or anything along the lines of that, what you're going to want to do is head into the GitHub repository, and then make sure you have all of these custom repositories installed on your Home Assistant instance. If you don't, you're going to get these super crazy errors saying that the element doesn't exist, and you're going to get all the YAML for the card, which is obviously not what we want, so just make sure you have all these installed. Now, there's one more thing that I forgot to mention. For the clock in the top left corner, I use a custom template sensor to return the current time in 12-hour format. And I do this because Home Assistant doesn't have the 12-hour time native. I don't know why that's the case. Home Assistant team, if you're watching this, please add a native 12-hour time sensor, but I digress. So if you don't have the sensor installed and you just want to use the 24-hour time, what you're going to want to do is enter in this template here. Just do now parentheses dot hour, and then add a colon, and then do now parentheses dot minute. And then as you can see, we now have the 24-hour time displayed right up here. Same goes for the current date sensor. So if you don't have these custom sensors installed, you're going to get these crazy errors. Again, all you're going to want to do, similar to what we did with the time, is we're just going to use the native Home Assistant sensors. So as you can see, I just replaced my template sensors with the native Home Assistant date and time templates, and this should work on anyone's instance, no matter what sensors you have installed. So yeah, that just about does it for how I set up my wall-mounted tablet. I hope you all found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos from me. Also, if you have any questions for me or you're still having trouble getting this working on your instance, feel free to let me know down in the comments and I'll be happy to help you out. Otherwise, that's about it for this video, and I'll see y'all next time.